Ava Mercer recognized the blue heron before she saw the name beneath it. The bird curved across the back of a linen jacket, its wings built from hundreds of narrow stitches. Ava had drawn it during a sleepless night the previous spring. She had revised the neck 5 times because the first versions looked too stiff. Now 40 jackets hung inside the threadline workshop, ready for shipment. Each label read designed by Brooke Dalton. Ava was 36 and had spent 12 years turning sketches into embroidery patterns. She had been away from the studio for 11 weeks after a cycling accident fractured her wrist and injured 2 fingers on her drawing hand. That Monday was supposed to be her quiet return. Instead, she found an entire collection of her work packaged under her business partner's name. The blue heron was not the only design. Boxes contained Ava's larkspur border, her winter moth, and a geometric pattern based on the tiles in her grandmother's kitchen. The collection was called Field Notes, the same name written across Ava's private sketchbook. Brooke entered from the showroom carrying a tablet. She was 39 and had managed threadline sales, contracts, and public image since the 2 women founded the company 8 years earlier. "You were not supposed to come in until Wednesday," she said. Ava held up the jacket. "Why is your name on this?" Brooke did not look embarrassed. She explained that Field Notes belonged to the company and that the company had registered Brooke as its creator and owner. An investor was funding a national launch. The first shipment would leave in 4 days. "You handled business while I was injured," Ava said. "You did not create my work." Brooke opened a folder on her tablet. "According to every file and registration that matters," she said. "I did. Hi, I'm Ethan Cole, and this is Ethan After Dark, where I tell stories of betrayal, family secrets, revenge, and sweet justice. Now back to the story." Ava and Brooke met at a community design program when they were 22. Ava arrived with a portfolio and no plan for selling anything. Brooke arrived with sales experience and no product she believed in. Their abilities fit together. Their first success came from a set of embroidered market bags. Ava spent 2 weeks adjusting the thread tension and earned less than minimum wage on the first order. Brooke persuaded the store to double its quantity and pay a deposit before production. Ava never forgot that Brooke made survival possible. Brooke never forgot that customers praised the flowers without asking who secured the shelf space. Ava designed embroidered jackets, bags, and home textiles. Brooke found stores willing to stock them, negotiated prices, and learned every part of the business Ava avoided. When they launched Threadline, each owned half. For years, Brooke introduced Ava as the artist and herself as the person who kept the lights on. She said it with humor, but Ava sometimes heard resentment underneath. The company remained small by choice. Ava preferred limited runs and local production. Brooke wanted larger orders, licensing agreements, and outside capital. Their disagreements sharpened before the accident. Brooke had found an investor named Celeste Wynn who wanted to place Threadline products in department stores. Ava worried that rapid production would reduce the work to cheap copies. She asked for more time. Then her bicycle struck an opening car door. During surgery and rehabilitation, Ava allowed Brooke to manage the studio alone. She approved invoices from home and signed documents related to insurance, payroll, and temporary authority. She did not read every page closely. She trusted her oldest friend to preserve the company until she returned. Brooke gave weekly updates. She said sales were stable and that the investment talks had paused. She never mentioned that the Field Notes collection had entered production. Now the launch was 4 days away, and Ava's name had been removed before she even knew there was a launch. Brooke led Ava into the showroom and closed the door. She presented copyright registration confirmations, production contracts, and a revised company profile. Each document identified Brooke as the principal designer of Field Notes. She also produced an amendment to Threadline's operating agreement. Ava's signature appeared on the final page. The amendment gave Brooke authority to register, license, and commercialize work developed using company equipment during Ava's leave. Ava remembered signing a temporary authority packet 2 days after surgery. Her wrist was immobilized, so she had signed with her left hand while Brooke turned the pages. The signature on the amendment was genuine. The problem was not whether Ava had touched the paper. It was whether the authority described on its final page could be stretched into a claim that Brooke created everything she was permitted to manage. That lets you manage the designs, Ava said. It does not make you their creator. The company paid for the machines, materials, and staff. The files were on company drives. Brooke showed her the digital source folder. Every design file listed B. Dalton in the creator field. The earliest recorded versions were dated after Ava's accident. Ava searched for her own working files. They were gone. Brooke said Ava had removed them before leaving and failed to complete the collection. According to her version, Brooke and the production team had rebuilt the designs from abandoned sketches. The explanation contained enough truth to be dangerous. Ava had left several paper sketches at the studio. Brooke had directed employees through production while Ava recovered. Brooke had also approved practical changes to make the patterns easier to manufacture. She reduced thread colors, simplified the moth's wing, and removed several stitches that slowed the machine. Those changes were real creative contributions. They allowed her to present a false choice in which recognizing Ava meant denying everyone else's labor. Celeste joined the meeting by video. She said the investment depended on clear ownership and a Friday shipment. Brooke had supplied registrations, signed authority, and dated source files. If you have a private disagreement, Celeste said, resolve it without interfering with company property. Brooke lowered her voice after the call ended. You were ready to keep us small forever, she said. I made the work valuable. Ava understood the position Brooke had built. If Ava objected, she would appear to be an absent partner trying to stop the company's biggest opportunity. Ava took her sketchbooks home and photographed every page. They showed the heron, larkspur, moth, and tile pattern in multiple stages. None carried a reliable date. Her personal laptop had been damaged in the cycling accident when a water bottle broke inside her bag. A repair shop recovered photographs and emails, but the main design folder was corrupted. Meena Patel, Threadline's senior pattern technician, agreed that Ava often developed ideas on paper. She would not say who completed field notes. Brooke says the company owns it, Meena said. I need to stay out of this. Meena had worked beside Ava for 5 years. Her refusal hurt more than Celeste's skepticism. Ava contacted 2 retailers who had seen early samples. One remembered the bluebird but could not recall who presented it. The other had deleted old buying notes. Brooke had already told employees that Ava's injury medication and frustration were affecting her memory. She framed the dispute as a painful disagreement about collaboration, not theft. That evening, Ava spread the sketchbooks across her apartment floor. She knew every correction inside them, but knowledge was not evidence. Brooke possessed official registrations and files with clean dates. Ava possessed drawings she could have made at any time. For the first time, she wondered whether fighting would destroy the company without restoring her name. Then she noticed a number written beside the first larkspur sample. The number was 4182. It was not a page number. It was the job number assigned by Threadline's oldest embroidery machine. Ava searched her recovered phone photographs and found the larkspur sample. A date in the photo library placed it 7 months before her accident. The image showed job number 4182 written on the fabric edge. She sent it to Celeste and Brooke. Brooke responded within minutes. She said restored photographs often received new dates when transferred between devices. The image metadata showed the date of the repair shop export, not the original capture. She also argued that an early sample did not establish authorship of the finished collection. Celeste agreed that the photograph raised a question but did not settle ownership. The shipment remained scheduled. Ava then brought the fabric to an intellectual property attorney. The attorney explained that possession of a sketch could support her claim, but a court would want corroboration. Threadline's registration created a presumption that Brooks' filing was valid until challenged with stronger evidence. Ava's first proof had failed at the exact point Brooke expected. The photograph was real, but its date could be disputed. The fabric was real, but anyone in the workshop could have produced it. The failed challenge strengthened Brooks' position. She told the staff that outside counsel had reviewed Ava's claim and found no reason to stop production. 2 retailers posted launch previews naming Brooke as the designer. Every public repetition made the false version look more settled and made Ava appear later to her own work. She needed the record behind Job 4182. When Ava returned to the studio, the old embroidery machine was disconnected near the loading door. A resale company was collecting it the following morning. Brooks said the machine had become unreliable and was not part of the new production plan. Ava asked to examine its memory. "It belongs to Threadline," Brooks said. "You no longer have technical access." The operating agreement still made Ava a 50% owner. Her attorney sent notice that no company equipment could be sold while an ownership dispute was active. Brooke reluctantly left the machine in place. Ava called Luis Chun, the technician who had serviced Threadline's equipment for 6 years. With both partners present, he powered on the machine and opened its local job history. Job 4182 was still there. The file was named AM_Larkspur_07. Its stitch map contained the same uneven lower leaf visible in Ava's photograph sample. The operator notes carried Ava's initials. Nearby jobs contained the heron, moth, and tile pattern. Their sequence showed multiple revisions. Early versions matched Ava's sketchbook corrections. Ava could explain what each revision meant. The first heron pulled the linen inward because the wing stitches all ran in one direction. She divided the fill pattern in the second job. The third added an underlayer that kept the fabric flat. Those were not decorative changes added by a production team. They were solutions to problems Ava had documented in her own hand. The files appeared to predate her accident. Brooke challenged the machine clock. Operators could change it manually, she said. Ava also had access to the equipment, so her initials proved only that someone had entered them. Luis could not rule that out from the machine alone. Brooke used that uncertainty immediately. She told Celeste that Ava had entered old sketches into the machine after returning and was trying to manufacture a history. The claim required Ava to have rebuilt dozens of intermediate files in a single morning, but it was technically possible. Possibility was enough to keep the launch alive. Once again, Ava had found something persuasive but not final. Luis mentioned that the manufacturer performed automatic diagnostic captures during service visits. The captures recorded job errors, motor use, and stored design checksums so technicians could identify problems after a failure. He had serviced the machine 8 months earlier, when Ava reported thread breaks during the heron sample. If the manufacturer retained that diagnostic capture, it would show what existed inside the machine before Ava's accident and before Brooke filed any registration. Ava's attorney examined Brooke's copyright submissions. The registration office had recorded the information supplied by the applicant. It had not investigated who sat at the machine or drew the original work. The official papers were not independent proof. They were Brooke's claim given an official date. The source files had a similar weakness. Mina had used embroidery conversion software to export them during Ava's leave. That software automatically filled the creator field from the account currently logged in. Brooke controlled the account. Celeste's due diligence team had reviewed the registrations and the exported files, but no one had asked for earlier machine records or development samples. They accepted the cleanest version because the Friday launch depended on it. The signed operating amendment also proved less than Brooke claimed. It gave her temporary authority to manage company property. It did not transfer Ava's personal authorship or permit false attribution. Brooke's evidence was not forged. It was arranged to answer a question no one had asked carefully enough. Ava now understood the structure of the takeover. Brooke waited until Ava was absent, exported the work under her own account, registered the finished files, and used the registrations to persuade an investor that ownership was settled. Only one person besides Brooke had touched every exported file. Mina had avoided the dispute because she knew exactly how the creator field had changed. Mina asked Ava to meet after closing. She admitted that Brooke had ordered her to export the field notes files through Brooke's administrator account. Mina noticed the creator field change and questioned it. Brooke said the investor required one responsible designer and that Ava had already agreed through the operating amendment. Mina did not believe that explanation completely. Her husband had been laid off 2 months earlier. Threadline provided the family's health insurance, and their daughter needed regular physical therapy. Brooke warned that a failed investment would force immediate layoffs. "She never said I would be fired for telling you," Mina said. "She made sure I understood that everyone might be fired if I did." Mina had helped prepare the misleading files because she feared becoming responsible for the workshop's collapse. Her silence had a practical cost for Ava. Mina attended an investor demonstration during Ava's recovery and answered questions about production without correcting Brooke's claim of authorship. Celeste had treated her presence as confirmation from a neutral employee. Mina now had to admit that fear had turned her into part of the evidence used against someone she respected. She brought Ava a box of rejected samples that Brooke had told her to destroy. Each sample carried a machine job sticker and Mina's handwritten production notes. Several notes said Ava revision or waiting for Ava approval. Mina agreed to provide a statement and the original samples. She knew Brooke might dismiss her before the dispute ended. Ava did not promise that nothing would happen. She promised only that Mina would not face the truth alone. The samples connected Ava to the machine sequence. The upcoming diagnostic archive could connect that sequence to an independent date. The manufacturer located Luis's service capture in its warranty archive. It had been created automatically when his diagnostic unit connected to the embroidery machine 8 months earlier. The archive recorded the machine's serial number, internal job sequence, stored file checksums, and service date. Neither Ava nor Brooke could edit it after upload. Job 4182 was inside. So were the early heron, moth, and tile files. Their checksums matched the jobs still stored on the machine and the patterns stitched into Mina's rejected samples. The archive also preserved operator notes. Ava's initials appeared throughout the development sequence. Brooke's name appeared only on sales test jobs created later. Luis generated a certified copy and explained it in plain language. The collection existed on Threadline's machine before Ava's injury. The files developed through a sequence matching her paper sketches. Brooke's registered exports came afterward and were built from those earlier jobs. The service capture did not depend on a restored photograph, an adjustable machine clock, or an employee's memory. It had been stored months before there was a dispute. Celeste postponed the shipment after receiving the report. Retailers were instructed not to display the collection until authorship was resolved. For 11 weeks, Brooke had controlled every current record. She had overlooked the copy created by a repair visit neither woman considered important at the time. Celeste's full proposal revealed Brooke's pressure. The investment would value Threadline at several $1 million, but only if the company could deliver seasonal collections without depending on one artist. Celeste considered Ava talented and commercially difficult. She wanted Brooke to lead a scalable design team. Brooke also held company debts she had not fully disclosed. She had ordered production materials for the national launch before Ava approved the expansion. If the investment failed, Threadline could not pay those invoices. She had signed personal guarantees on 2 of those orders. If Celeste withdrew, Brooke could lose her savings and the apartment she had pledged as security. By the time Ava returned, Brooke was not protecting only an ambition. She was protecting a decision that could damage her life. That urgency made her behavior understandable, but it also proved how far she had gone without her partner's consent. For years, articles had described Brooke as Ava's business-minded friend. Customers asked Ava to sign garments while Brooke stood beside the register. Brooke believed she had built the company and received none of the admiration. When Ava delayed the investment, Brooke saw another future in which her work remained invisible behind someone else's name. She decided that commercializing the designs made them partly hers. Then she changed partly into entirely because the investor wanted clean ownership. Ava could understand the resentment. She had accepted Brooke's labor without always recognizing how much identity Brooke placed inside it. Recognition, however, was not authorship. Brooke had responded to being overlooked by erasing someone else. Celeste called both partners to the showroom on Thursday morning. Garment racks stood ready for a launch that was no longer certain. Brooke began with the copyright registrations. She said the designs were developed by Threadline staff and that Ava's contribution had been preliminary. Ava placed her sketches and rejected samples on the table in design order. Mina explained how each sample corresponded to a machine job and how Brooke's account replaced the creator field during export. Brooke accused Mina of protecting her former supervisor. Luis presented the service archive. He matched job 4182 to the Larkspur sample. He matched the archive checksum to the file still stored on the machine. Then he showed that the archive had been uploaded 8 months earlier, before Ava's accident and months before Brooke's registrations. Brooke said company equipment made the work company property. Ava's attorney distinguished ownership from attribution. Even if Threadline held certain commercial rights, Brooke could not register herself as the artist or claim that Ava had never created the designs. Celeste asked why Brooke had provided only exported files during due diligence. Because those were the production files, Brooke replied. You represented them as the earliest source files. Brooke looked at Ava. You would have killed this deal, she said. I would have asked what it cost us, Ava answered. Brooke gestured toward the employees outside the showroom. She said Ava's hesitation threatened every job. She described the orders, debt, and years she had spent making Ava's ideas profitable. You got to be the talent, Brooke said. I got to be the person carrying boxes behind you. Ava did not deny that wound. Then you should have put your name on the work you did. You put it on mine. Celeste withdrew the investment offer and canceled the launch. Her company would not distribute products tied to a false authorship claim. Brooke asked Ava to support a corrected release so the business could survive. The proposed correction would place Ava's name beneath Threadline's while preserving Brooke's control of future licensing. It offered public credit without restoring authority. Months earlier, Ava might have accepted it to avoid appearing difficult. Now she recognized the same bargain in a cleaner form. Brooke wanted Ava's name only where it could protect the sale. Ava had spent days hoping to recover her place inside Threadline. At that moment, she understood that the partnership itself was gone. She declined the release and authorized her attorney to seek an injunction against further sales until the company could be divided. The evidence restored her name. Her choice ended the arrangement that had made its removal possible. Threadline did not collapse immediately, and it did not survive unchanged. The partners reached a settlement after months of negotiation. The field notes registrations were corrected. Unsold garments were relabeled with Ava's authorship, and proceeds were divided under the original operating agreement. Retailers returned the first shipment rather than risk selling disputed goods. Some orders never came back, even after the labels were corrected. Restoring Ava's name did not restore the momentum of the launch, and the legal fees consumed much of the money the collection eventually earned. Brooke surrendered her ownership stake in exchange for release from part of the company's debt. She later took a sales position with a home goods manufacturer. She never offered Ava a complete apology. Mina kept her job during the wind down and eventually joined Ava's smaller studio. Ava also corrected something in herself. She learned the pricing, contracts, and account systems she had once left entirely to Brooke. Creative work did not become less pure because its creator understood the business around it. Ava chose not to pursue the national scale Celeste had offered. She accepted fewer orders and made the terms of every collaboration visible from the beginning. The old embroidery machine became part of her settlement. Luis serviced it again and cleared the production faults without deleting the archive jobs. Ava kept job 4182 exactly where it was. On the first morning in the new studio, she loaded a single linen jacket and selected the blue heron. The machine traced the wings in dark thread, following the same stitch path she had built before the accident. When it finished, Mina handed her a new label. It did not carry a company slogan or an investor's mark, contained two simple words. It read Ava Mercer. She stitched the label beneath the heron, where no one opening the jacket could miss it. And that's the end of this one. If it kept you up, do me one favor, hit subscribe. I tell a new story every single night, and I'd love to have you back. Good night.